Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm Patrice and today we are going to get our bling on. Okay y'all, so today we are going to be making this sweatshirt with our Cricut Explore 3. We will design a rhinestone template from scratch all inside of Cricut Design Space. So I'm really excited about showing you all how to do this. This template can be used over and over again to brush in hot fix rhinestones, so you can apply them onto shirts or whatever material that they can be applied to. So let's get started. Okay, y'all, so before we head into Cricut Design Space, we need to get a rhinestone font, and we're going to be getting this rhinestone font from Creative Fabrica. And right now they do have a special going on for the All Access membership, and I love the All Access membership. So let's just type in rhinestone font and see what comes up. So these are just different SVGs that comes up. We will look at some more. So let's go ahead and look at this one. It is the Atletico TTF Rhinestone font, and we are going to go ahead and download it. So you want to make sure whenever you're downloading fonts that there are details listed as far as what you need to size your stones as, or the font as, included with your purchase. And so right here I see that it is telling me that for an SS10 stone size, we need to size the font at 328. And then they also list the size for the SS10, the SS16, and the SS20. So we will go ahead and download this font. Please note that there are also download bonus files, which this is pretty much just the sheet to let you all know what you need to do and to give further instruction. All right, so let's go ahead and click download. Once you download it, you will need to install the font. So simply downloading does not mean that your font is going to be downloaded. So what you will have to do is open up the download and then click onto the font or the file. We're going to be downloading the TTF version of the file, which works really well in Cricut Design Space. So next, I already have this downloaded, but we would just go ahead and click install. If this is your first time installing it, it will say install, it won't say replace. All right, so now that we're all downloaded and we have the font installed, we're going to head to Cricut Design Space. Now we're inside of Cricut Design Space and we are going to open a canvas by selecting New Project in the top right corner. And we are going to simply type in a text so that we can use the rhinestone font. If you previously had Cricut Design Space open, you want to make sure that you close it and reopen it after installing the font. So to input text, we are going to head over to the left panel and select text. Now we are just simply going to type in the word mama. Let's do 4 letters. I'm not really sure how wide or how high this or tall this will be. So we are just going to first use a word that is not that long. And now I'm going to head up to font and we are going to drop the menu down. I am going to click onto system fonts. So we just clicked right next to Cricut and we are going to type in RS. I think that's what it started with. Let's see if it's RS02, and that's what it is. So it's RS02 Atletico. And so let's select the font. And this is what we have. So this definitely looks kind of small, but remember when we downloaded the font, it told us exactly what size that it needed to be. So if we want SS10 stones, we need to make this 328, a font size of 328 for the SS10 size stone. Now, if you have SS6 stones, you will then input the font size that it says for SS6 stones. But for today, we're going to be using SS10 stones, and I'm going to change the font size to 328. And I'm just going to hit enter. All right, so this is what we have, and I'm not really sure if this font is, if the holes are correct or not. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open up the shapes panel, open a circle, and I am going to measure a circle. So the size of the circle for an SS10 stone should be 0.13 by 0.13. And so I'm going to simply get the stone, and I am going to maximize the screen so that we can see it better. Let's change the color so we can see whether or not it is going to be the right size. And I am simply going to place this on top. Now, looking at this already, I can see that my holes for the font, those are too big. So I'm going to have to adjust those hole sizes, because if not, they're going to be too big for the SS10 stones to brush inside of. So let's go ahead, and how are we going to do that? So I'm going to reduce my screen. Next, we're going to click onto the word mama. I am then going to head down over to the layers panel and head down, and I am going to select combine, and then we are going to weld that together. I'm going to select it again. Now that I have it welded, I will be able to contour it. So let's head over to the right and select contour. Now you have to weld it in order to be able to use the contour tool. So we're going to select contour. And we are just simply going to select one of the holes. Okay, so we're going to select one of the holes once they come up. Okay, so the holes came up, and you may have to be a little patient with the system because it can take a few seconds in order for this to actually pop up on your screen. These are a lot of holes that the system is processing. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead, select a hole or circle, and then only select one, and then I'm going to select hide all contours. Once you hide all contours, you want to head back over into Cricut Design Space. And right now we see that this is measuring at 0.17 by 0.17. So of course we already knew that that hole was too large for an SS10 stone. So we are just going to head up and resize that circle. So I'm going to head to the size bar or the size section, and we are going to change 0.165 to 0.13, and that adjusted the size of our circle to the size of an SS10 stone. Next, I'm going to select that circle, and we are going to head back over to contour. Okay, so now that we are back in the hide contour or the contour box. Okay, so now what we will need to do is just click on show all contours. So I'm going to give it a few more seconds to process everything. And as we see here, all of those contours are beginning to, be seen again. It's done processing, and let's see what we have. And here is our updated design that should cut perfectly using SS10 rhinestones. Right now we have the width being 10.987 and the height is going to be 3.138. So let's increase this, and all of those holes should be the correct size, and we're just going to take our circle here and we are just going to match that up, and as you see, that matches up pretty perfectly. Okay, y'all, so I forgot to press record when I was making the hearts that you'll see in the next part of the video. So to do that, you want to have a few circles that measure 0.13. Remember, 0.13 is the size or the standard size of SS10 rhinestones. You can check to see the size of other stone sizes or other rhinestones, but for SS10, I typically use a circle that is 0.13. Now, I'm going to create quite a few of these stones or circles, and I just want to just duplicate them because I am going to be using these to make my heart. Okay, so I am just going to click Shapes. We're going to draw a small heart that we're going to be using, and I am going to minimize that heart. Here I'm just changing the colors of the circles to help me kind of see it a lot better. Next, I'm going to take the circles. Let's maximize this. Let's send that heart to the back. So that way anything we place on top of it will be in the front of it. So next I'm going to take the rhinestones that we just made, or the circles that we created, and I am just going to align them around the heart. This might be something that you say it's too much, so you can totally find some random rhinestone shapes online. Creative Fabrica will probably have some as well, but if you don't have a subscription or if you just don't want to make that purchase, then this is an option. This isn't too large where it will really take up too much time to do it. Now, if you want it, you could fill in the heart. I'm just going to do an outline of it. All right. So now that we're done with that, we're going to select all of those hearts, and I am going to head down to Combine, and we are going to click Weld. And that just makes that one heart. I'm going to delete this one because we won't need it. Next, all I'm going to do is I want to create a row of hearts. So I'm just going to duplicate the hearts, and this will create part of the template that I want with hearts. And I'm just going to kind of adjust the hearts to my liking. All right, so let's head back into the rest of the video. So I'm going to select all the hearts, and then I am going to weld all of those together. Once I weld those together, I want it to be centered underneath the word mama, so I'm going to go ahead and select both the word mama and the hearts, and then I am going to head up to the top toolbar and select Align, and we want to center horizontally. So now the hearts are centered perfectly underneath the word mama, and I am going to use the same color stones for both the word mama and the hearts. If I didn't want to use the same color stones, I wouldn't weld it together. I would just leave them separate as two separate individual welds to represent the two different colors that we want to use and cut out our flock. But for today, I'm just going to click both the word mama and the hearts, and then we are going to weld that together so that this all cuts out all together. So now we're going to get ready to make it. Alright, so everything is looking good. We will be using a mat to cut this, and again we will be using our Cricut Explore 3 to get this done. So I'm just going to click continue. And for the material that we will be using, we are simply going to be using the cardstock setting to get this done. So now I'm just going to search for the cardstock setting, and we will be using light cardstock today. In addition to the light cardstock setting, I am going to increase the pressure, and so I am just going to select more pressure, and now we are ready to head over to our machine. So for today's cut, we will be using our Cricut Explore 3, and you want to make sure that your flock is nice and secure on your cutting mat, because it is going to take a stabbing literally from your machine to get all of those holes cut out. And so if you want, you can also put some painter's tape or masking tape around the flock just to ensure that it stays nice and adhered to the cutting mat. The flock that I'm using today is called Rocket Flock, and this flock comes from Heat Transfer Warehouse. There are other vendors that sell this flock. However, I will have a link listed below to Heat Transfer Warehouse if you're interested in this flock. And I'm just showing you the flock up close so you can see the texture of it. All right, our machine is ready to cut, and so I am just going to get ready to load our mat. And we are going to press go. Now remember, anytime you're using flock, you want to make sure that you clean your blade, just because some of this material can get caught in to the blade and the housing, and it can affect your following cuts. All right, so let's go. Okay, y'all, so we are all done with cutting the flock, and you can see the holes from there, so it looks like this was a pretty good cut. Now we're going to remove the flock from the mat, and it's now time for us to peel this off to see just how successful this was. All right, so we are all done, and I am going to peel this back, and some of those holes are not coming up, but that is okay. I will show you all how to fix that. All right, some are staying, some are not, so that's okay. I still see that they cut really well, so I'm going to flip this over on the back, something that I learned from Eve over at the Baby's Booty, and I am going to place the template down. I am then going to take my scraper and just help those to adhere to that backing a little bit better. Some of those holes stayed, some of them didn't. So the light cardstock with more pressure works pretty good, but you don't really want to have to worry about doing this too much. So try the medium cardstock setting. I don't really mind this. I'm kind of used to when things like this happen, but definitely check your settings. This is the light cardstock setting with more pressure. All right, some more are staying on, just not all of them. All right, so I am going to go ahead and just remove these myself. Okay, y'all, so that setting generally works really good for me, but since we are recording this, those things always happen. So let's get ready to place this onto a chopping mat. So the chopping mats that I use to help preserve my templates are from the Dollar Tree. You can get 2 of these for $1.25, and we are just going to place our template on top of the chopping mat. I'm actually going to cut a little bit off on the side. All right, so we're just going to cut. Okay, and we are going to place this right. Actually, I think we're going to turn it. Let's turn it because I don't want any of it to hang off. So that's going to go right there. Could have snipped some off here, but that's okay. So for the next part of the project, we're going to need an edge brush. You can get this from your local hardware store, or I have a smaller handheld one that I use, and I got that from Heat Transfer Warehouse. I will have a link listed below. In addition, you're going to need hot fix rhinestones, and today we are going to be using jet black rhinestones from the Baby's Booty, and also jet hematite stones from the Baby's Booty as well. I decided to put jet black stones here and jet hematite stones at the bottom. So I am going to just get a piece of painter's tape or masking tape and cover the hearts while I brush in the word mama. Here is some painter's tape, and if we wanted, I could brush all of these stones in as the same color, but because I want to do a different color underneath, especially since I'm deciding to use the jet black stones, I just want to use a different color stone underneath. We will be placing this on a black sweatshirt. The first stones that we're going to be using are the jet black stones, and here is what those stones look like. And I'm just going to pour a nice amount on top. Now it's time to brush our stones in, and let's see if that worked. And it looks like these are definitely brushing in. Okay, this is what you don't want. I should have had that down a lot better, but I didn't. All right. I was kind of rubbing on it. All right. So we are going to just brush the extra stones away. Another tool, before I brush those off, another tool that you want to have handy is a wax pen. This will help you with some of the dots that might be a little bit harder to fill while brushing in. But for today, it looks like we did pretty decent. Well, I'm brushing them out of place. Okay, let's just brush them off. You just want to do this lightly, very, very lightly. Okay, so now that we have some of those stones that need to be placed on top, I am just going to pick up the stones like this and place those where they need to go. So we have a few open holes, not too many, and I'm going to fill those. You also want to make sure that there are no stray dots or stray rhinestones lying around, and no overlapping stones also. because that could potentially hurt your design and when you get ready to press. All right, so everything looks pretty good and I'm happy with that. All right, so typically you can go ahead and place your transfer tape on top, remove this, and then place and then brush in the hearts. But we are actually going to try to remove the painter's tape. And so I do want to let you know that you have to be very careful. I would definitely recommend having the cutting mat or cutting board, whatever you're using, nice and secure to the surface, because if you yank the tape off, those dots are going to go flying all over the place. If you move the cutting mat, those dots are going to fall out of place. So you do want to be careful when you're doing that. So next we're going to get ready to brush in our jet hematite stones. And this is just going to add a little sparkle under the word mama. Alright, so I'm just going to pour a little bit here because I don't want to really overdo it. And I also want to be very careful that I don't brush any of the other stones out of place. So I don't want to brush any of the stones from the word mama out of place. So I'm being very, very careful how I do this part. So if you feel more comfortable, you can totally take your wax pen. These aren't many holes to fill, and place those in individually if this is something that you choose to do. If not, I would just remove those first with the transfer tape and then brush these in if you want to use different colors. Now, if you're going to be brushing these in and using the same color, you don't have to worry about any of the painter's tape, masking tape, or anything like that. You can just brush it all in at once. But our hearts turned out lovely. So just remember that these stones can be reused, the ones that we brushed off that did not go into the template. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put these back and store them. So next we are going to get a piece of transfer mask, and this is KTM mask from Heat Transfer Warehouse, and we are going to pick these stones up. All right, y'all, so I forgot to press play and I placed this down without recording. So the way that you need to make sure that you place the transfer tape, so the clear sticky part is what will go on top of the rhinestones. You need to form a U shape with it, and you have to commit because it can be very staticky. It can cause your stones to jump off of the flock and onto it. And once you start to press it down, any slight movement, you can throw the alignment off. So once you do that, you just want to have it in a U shape, and you just drop it down and press it just like that in one swift motion. Okay, so now it's time for us to remove this. And to make sure that the stones stick to the transfer tape, all I did was kind of take my hand and rub it over all of the stones to make sure that that those stones adhere to the transfer mask. So now I'm going to peel this back, and you want to be careful when peeling it back, because the way that I have some of this tape on the desk, that can cause it to be really, really hard to lift up, and if you kind of force it up, some of those stones can pop off. So you have to be very, very gentle while you're doing it, or at least pay attention to how you're removing them. All right, so once you're done, you want to make sure that you don't just hold the transfer mask anyway, because you could possibly cause this to fold and you don't want it to stick to itself. So I do see one stone here that I need to remove, because that adhesive doesn't look like it's really on there nicely. So I'm going to move the template, and I'm going to bring you guys in closer to see it. So this is the one, so you can get your tweezers and move it out of the way. I'm just going to use my pickup tool and kind of help me to get it out of the way. So now that that one is out of the way, I'm just going to pick up another black stone, and I'm picking it up from the adhesive side, and I'm just going to place it face down onto the transfer mask, and now we're good to go. So remember, we kept the backing, so I am just simply going to place the backing right on top until I am ready to press this onto my shirt. So now we are ready to press our sweatshirt, and today we're going to be using a Gildan 100% cotton shirt. Before we press our stones, we want to make sure that we lint roll the sweatshirt and remove any lint or any particles that might be on the sweatshirt, and then we're going to give it a pre-press. All right, and so we're going to get ready to press. All right, guys, so now we're ready to press this, and our heat press is set at 325 degrees, and we will be pressing this for 25 seconds. I'm just going to press that there. And this is a large sweatshirt, so you can have an idea of how large the design will be on the sweatshirt. All right, and we're ready to press it. All right, so we're all set, and I'm going to peel this because this is a hot peel. And next, I'm going to press it again. This is a sweatshirt, so I do want to make sure that the stones are nice and secured to the sweatshirt. But I'm already loving how this tone on tone is looking, and I'm loving how that jet hematite is. It looks a little different, gives it a little more sparkle, but we are going to press this again. And I do have a Teflon sheet, so I would recommend maybe putting a parchment paper on top or Teflon sheet. I just don't like to really scuff up my stones too much when I do the second press. All right, so we are all done, and y'all, I love how this came out. Really, really nice. I absolutely love how it looks. All right, y'all, so we are all done, and how amazing is this sweatshirt? I absolutely love how it turned out, and the good thing is that we can use this again to make another shirt, another sweatshirt, and we don't have to cut this out again. All we have to do is have hot fix rhinestones to brush into the template, and we can make us another shirt or sweatshirt. So I absolutely love having the ability to do this. Check out Creative Fabrica. They have some other templates that you can just ready to make templates already that all you have to do is upload into Cricut Design Space and cut. But I love the option of using the rhinestone fonts to create custom text for clothing. And so Mother's Day is going to be coming up, or if you just want to make it for a special mama in your life, then you can totally use this template, this design. I will have a link listed below to this project, and I believe it's going to be available. If it's not available, then Cricut might have taken it down, but it should be available for you to be able to cut it yourself. And just check the description for a link for all of the materials that I used today, especially these amazing rhinestones. And also this rocket flock from Heat Transfer Warehouse will also be linked below in the description, and everything else that I used. But y'all, look how cute this is. I love the tone on tone, and you might not think that that black will sparkle, but it absolutely does sparkle and shine. And
This is a shirt that I could expect to see in a department store, honestly. And I can assure you that the price will be upwards of $50. But y'all, we purchased this sweatshirt, and I got this sweatshirt on sale for about $9, and we placed the Hot Fix rhinestones on it. So this looks absolutely amazing. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure if you're not already a subscriber, make sure to hit that red subscribe button. I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. In addition, head over to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and join the Craftable Things community there. We would love to have you. But that's going to be it for today, y'all. Thank you all so very much for watching. Until next time.